Hey guys, and welcome back to Brexit. Brexit England, Northern Ireland, and Eastern Europe. And in Brexit England, money, 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 money is the root of all evil. Or I could have went with money, 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 money. No. That reminds me too much of Donald Trump. Or so we could just go with money, 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 money. And if you said that, 1,000 times, that is how many millions Tesco's has made. That figure of £1 billion, 1,000 million, Tesco's have been allowed to make in the cost of living crisis, while you go to the counter and you have to put some stuff back, and you pick up the big piece of lamb and you think to yourself, with the big piece of bone in it, and you think, you know what, I would like to beat this cashier to death with this big piece of lamb, and then the big piece of cheese that I've got to put back, I'll stuff that in their mouth after I've finished. That's how you feel, but you won't do it because that person is gay and you don't want to be done for gay bashing. So you don't want to. So that's the only reason why you haven't taken a violent reaction when you have to put stuff back. The truth is, in this country, our politicians are allowing these companies to take the absolute piss. However you look at it, cost of living crisis, right? People can't afford to fucking feed themselves. And these clowns are putting in £1 billion profit and they're just laughing. Right in your face, they're laughing. Right? While they're saying, you know something? I'm going to take my yacht to France, to the south of France this weekend. That's what those guys are saying, right? While driving in their Bentley, while smoking a cigar on the way, sipping champagne because they're in the back being driven. £1 billion in profits. Now, you see, when you have politicians like let me just think of who. Let's go with Jeremy Corbyn. When you put politicians like Jeremy Corbyn, right, and they destroy their character, you can see why they have to destroy people like that character. Because you see, if it was me in power and these people done this to the people in this country, I would just say to Tesco, look, I'll tell you what we're going to do, yeah? I'm taking 900 million of that billion, yeah? And they say, what? And say, I'm taking 900 fucking million of that fucking billion, and fuck you for ripping off the fucking people in this country, okay? You should be lucky we're leaving you with 100 million, right? You're making 1 billion profit while the people in this country are having to put food back because they can't afford it. And you think that's okay, right? Paying, right, your CEO, right, £2,500 an hour. And the people who are working on the shop floor, £9.25 to £12.45 an hour. He gets, and to be honest, right, that figure of £2,500, right, that has come from the Sainsbury's, right, and Sainsbury's put in profits of I think it's over 300 million, right, as the over 800 million. These people have been allowed to just rip us off, right, whenever they want, right? And you know something? They can do it at will. And they're doing it with the consent of the people who you keep voting in. Because I don't vote for these clowns. I don't vote for these clowns. I might have voted for Labour in the past, right? But under Keir Starmer, these people are conservatives. Whether it's Labour, whether it's the Tories. The Tories, Labour under, Tony Blair or under Keir Starmer. This is a conservative Labour Party. People that have stolen the Labour Party away from the working classes because they're just like, they worked out a long time ago. Okay, right, these people have got their own party, right, but that doesn't mean that we have to get them, we have to put them into power. So we just infiltrate. Right. So now, as a result, right, all you've got in Labour and the Tories, are people virtually from the upper classes. Keir Starmer might say to you, oh, well, you know something, my dad was a toolmaker and my mum was a nurse. Fuck you. right? You was the fucking, you was the head of the CPS, right? That type of job, right, is given to a person who's from the upper classes or a person who conforms to be from the upper classes. You don't get those type of jobs, yeah, coming from from a working class background. Trust me on this, you don't get those jobs like that. So Keir Starmer might like to say, oh, just in the same way Rishi Sunak will tell you, oh, well, my parents was just, was just working class people. Yeah, a doctor and a pharmacist, right? So these, although Keir Starmer's parents, was a toolmaker, but we don't really know what kind of toolmaker his dad was. His dad was a toolmaker that owned the company, right? Was his mum like a senior head nurse? We don't know, right? In the same way that Sadiq Khan, his dad was a bus driver. He's still fucking us over. He don't give a shit. Right, he's still saying, oh yes, my dad was a bus driver, so I know exactly how the working classes feel. Take £12 fucking 50 a day to drive your motherfucking polluting car in London and just outside too, right? Because you know something, if you can afford, if they were serious about it, they said, well, we're banning these cars. That's it, banned, done, banned. But no, you can still pay £12.50 to drive your polluting vehicle all around the fucking, all around the capital. Seriously, right? But back to Tesco's, right? While these people, right, have been absolutely, right, just raking it in, right, taking advantage of the pandemic, taking full advantage of the end of COVID, taking full advantage of the cost of living crisis. This is what these people have been doing. This is what these people have been doing all the time, right? And one thing I can guarantee you, here's one thing I can absolutely guarantee you. I guarantee you that Tesco workers are taking more than £1 billion in universal credit. That I guarantee you, right? Which means, what does that mean? It means these motherfuckers aren't even in profit. The only way they can actually make those type of profits, right, is by getting money from the government for their workers via universal credit, right? And the strange thing is, right, you've got Asda workers who claim, right, that they've been going to food banks, right, and collecting some of the very food that they're packing in their stores, collecting it for themselves because Asda's not paying them enough money while they're putting in £800 million in profits. Profits, 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 profits. And welcome back to By Any Means Necessary. Thank you so much for all your messages sent me. And a special thanks here to everybody who signed up to my channel. I feel so blessed with so much people that have signed up. So thank you so much for that. I'll go for all your messages. I'll answer as many as I can. But I will like all the messages for definite. Thames Water. It seems that Thames Water CEO yesterday resigned with immediate effect. Later on that day, they started telling us that Thames Water is £14 billion in debt. What the fuck are you talking about? 14 motherfucking billion pounds in debt. And you know why they're £14 million in debt? Because you know what? You people have been voting for fucking clowns. That's the reason why. These people are £14 billion in debt. Oh, Thames Water's not £14 billion in debt. We are. We're £14 billion in debt, right? Because we are the people who are going to have to pay this back. These politicians should feel absolutely ashamed of themselves. They have been sat by and watched this get asset stripped, because that's what's happened to it. It's been asset stripped. They've been borrowing against the company and they've been paying that money out in dividends to shareholders and in wicked and massive bonuses. When they destroy the character of a politician like Jeremy Corbyn, who has seen all of this and said, listen, we're going to take back all of these companies. Why do you think they need to destroy people like that character, right? And now you look at these people, right? These are people who have all been to university, the finest fucking schools in the world. And you people have been, you're like, oh no, these are the right people to run the country, because they're very let me just think, educated, highly educated, been to Oxford and Cambridge. Fuck you. This is what these people do. They fuck everything up. £14 billion in debt. How the fuck have you got to be £14 billion in debt? Who the fuck is going to go to prison for this? Nobody. You know where they're going to go? They're going to have the fucking Lords. right? You go and steal £1,400, right, from the fucking social, you go to fucking prison, or you might get fucking community service, okay? But you steal 14 billion, right, and a good few of yous are going to end up in the House of fucking Lords. Right, with the very fucking same judge who would be saying to the person who's stolen £1,400, you're greedy, look at you, stealing from the taxpayer, you're greedy rascal, you're probably black, the judge. He's probably from the Caribbean and black. You're greedy, that's what he'll be saying to you, and I'm going to send you to prison for your greed. That's what he'll be saying to you. And then next thing, he'll jump in his fucking Bentley and go down to the House of Lords and sit next to someone who has stolen hundreds of millions of pounds out of this country. Because when you steal big money, they sling you in the House of Lords because they think, oh, actually, if you can do that, right, then you know something, you are worthy of a title. These people, right, have been allowed to absolutely, I mean, this has happened, right, on the politicians' watch. They've sat there, and they have watched people, right, asset strip, right, one of our main assets in this country, Thames water. Now, anything that says Thames, right, should belong to London. Thames water. I mean, this is probably going to go right across the country. So I don't think, just it's a London thing. Right? Because this is probably going to go right across the country. Right? But it's amazing that no politician didn't see this. Didn't see that a company, right, that a CEO is going to step away, leaving a 14 billion, knowing exactly what they've done. And I mean this. The main asset stripped of this actually started in 2006. So between 2006 and 2012 was the main time when the assets was really stripped out. So that was during the Labour Party was in. So as I've told you before, right? Labour and the Tories, these people are the same. Once you're talking about a Tony Blair, right? And so much people because of how much Tony Blair has fucked people's heads up. So much people are like, oh yeah, well, Labour's just as bad. And a Labour Party under Tony Blair is. A Labour Party under Michael Foot. Not that I was even alive when Michael Foot was there. But a Labour Party under Michael Foot or under Ed Miliband or even Gordon Brown or Jeremy Corbyn is a different Labour Party to what you'll get under Tony Blair and under Keir Starmer. Right, that's what's going to happen is we're going to get a Labour Party under Keir Starmer, and people are going to these just the same. They're just the same. You really needed that left Labour Party because that's the only time when you'll see real change because you'll see people coming and you'll see council houses, there's social housing built, and you'll see more money spent on the NHS. NHS is just NHS is in complete pieces. Right, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about Thames Water and their £14 billion, right, debt that they have left for us after asset stripping, as if they're like, what was it, Selfridges, because Selfridges, I think the same thing happened to Selfridges, right? But Selfridges is like a private company, and that guy ended up in prison. Right, he did, right, because he bought it off, I think it was Lord Green, I think, innit? Right, so and Lord Green, they wanted. I'm sure, he's one who should have had his lordship stripped from him, right? But that's the same thing. What they've done in Selfridges is what they've done in Thames Water. But the difference is, this is a fucking national asset, right? An asset that should only be run by the government because you see, the thing is, if the government's running Thames Water, then it doesn't get asset stripped. Don't get asset stripped at all. But if a private company is running it, especially a bunch of venture capitalists are running it, then, these people, they know how to strip these things out, take loans out of, on the assets, right? And then just leave the debt and run off. Next thing, they're in Monaco on their yacht. Anyway, guys, look, I'm going to wrap this up because I was only really speaking about those two subjects. I've got a lot more to speak about, but, these things have just really upset me. When I tell you it's upset me so much, right, to think, right, that, it doesn't matter, right, where you look in this country right now, whether it's your mortgage, whether it's your rent, whether it's the food you buy, whether it's the utilities, all we are getting ripped off all the way along. And what's the one thing that all this has in common is that all these things should really be run by the state. Yeah, people, people on the social buying a house for someone who's got 25 houses already. Right, that's what's going on in this country. Being ripped off the hell off, right, by the supermarkets. You're going in there, right, and you're having to spend more money than you've got in your pocket. People are having, people are paying their mortgages. People are having to borrow money to pay their mortgages. So that's extra interest they're having to pay, right? Borrow money to pay their mortgages. And then utilities, right? Thames Water. We are walking off, right? People walking off owing us £14 billion, right? And they haven't fixed any of the motherfucking pipes. My friends, this is by any means necessary. I'm the MC John Ribbs. It was really nice to speak to you guys. Comments below.